All right, so Nicolas Cage milking an alpaca. Something I never knew I wanted, but I always needed. What is up, Flick fans? Welcome back to my channel. I didn't think I was going to be able to watch this film. It wasn't showing up anywhere, and our artistic theater downtown popped up at 9:45 last night, and I said, you know what? We're doing this. We're going. And I watched Color Out of Space. I need you in the comment section down below. Have you heard of this film? Do you like Nicolas Cage feeding alpacas? We'll talk about all of those things right now. So based on the short story by HP Lovecraft, a town is struck by a meteorite, and the fallout is catastrophic. The film stars Jolie Richardson, Madeline Arthur, and of course, Nicolas Cage. He's going to steal the Declaration of Independence. So I've got to be flat honest with you. I had no clue what this was about. We know the name HP Lovecraft, and we understand that that means you are in for a crazy, wacky adventure. But I was unsure how the director was going to handle this, and I didn't know how deranged certain characters that were hoping to get a tad bit of deranged from Nicolas Cage, I didn't know how wacky it would get as a whole. And let me tell you, Color Out of Space is unlike anything you will see this year, and I can almost guarantee that, and we're just in January. This film goes to heights that I haven't seen, not just out of a horror movie, but out of a movie in quite some time. It is, I use the word deranged, it is insane, it is over the top at times, especially when you look at certain characters who start out one way and end up in a completely different light. I still can't necessarily explain how certain things happened and what certain character decisions meant to come across as from the screenplay, and they didn't necessarily translate as well. This definitely is not a perfect film. There are multiple issues that one could point out and say, well, at the end of the day, it just doesn't work. But I'm not going to be the one to say that, because I feel like this movie will end up 5 years from now as a cult classic, like maybe the horror cult classic of the decade so far. Color Out of Space is everything that I think fans were looking for going into this film, anticipating it on a level that I believe a lot were. I didn't think much of it going in. Normally movies like this don't hit me in the way that they're supposed to, and this one didn't get all the way there, but I have to say, I appreciate it for what it tried to do. I appreciate a lot of the practical horror in this film. Multiple scenes. I was going to say one scene, but multiple scenes that I'm still thinking about saying, yeah, whether it came across in the way that it intended to, the craft, the care for this film, and the way that characters are represented, it all came across as genuine, and it comes across as, we know this is a crazy premise. We understand that we hired certain actors to portray crazy characters, and we know what the audience wants. And what I believe a lot of hardcore horror fans are going to want out of this film, they're going to get. Now, are there major flaws? Absolutely. The CGI is atrocious at times. The practical effects are brilliant, and I absolutely love them. And they didn't go as hard on those at the beginning of the movie. So at the beginning, when we get flashes of CGI, there's one of a demon creature when they encounter it on the road. I'm just like, oh, guys, we're falling apart here, but thankfully they go more of the practical route, and it ends up saving the entire film. It looks fantastic. Like I said, Nick Cage milks an alpaca, which was awesome. And at first, these characters, they're slowly descending into madness. You have this family who lives in this isolated location, and a meteor lands, a very colorful meteor, and then things go awry. I don't want to say how or why or what the point of everything is, because I still don't understand what certain things represent and mean. But imagine this slow fall into chaos by a family led by the likes of Nicolas Cage. Austin, you keep saying that. Why do you keep saying that? Because his descent into madness in this movie is unlike anything I've ever seen. Granted, he starts out as a big weirdo in the beginning, but he slowly starts to lose his mind, as does his daughter and his son and his wife, and not really his other son. He just kind of gets sucked into the... If you've seen that, you understand what I'm saying. And other than the really lackluster CGI at times, everything else visually is well done. And you can tell it's a smaller budget, but the color correction is, I mean, obviously, Color Out of Space, you know they have to nail that. And I do believe they nailed it. The acting was over the top, and not every actor nailed their role. There were a few times when something would happen, and that tragedy, that event, is supposed to evoke a certain response out of our characters, and I just didn't feel that, right? I didn't feel everything I needed to out of the emotion, out of the tragic elements. It's like, Exhibit A, and our character's just like, oh no, well, what do we do to solve it? And maybe that's this B-movie horror element, this trope that we've seen countless times. Maybe that's them trying to attempt to play it out on screen. And it also could have to do with the fact that they're all losing their minds. So when tragedy does happen, they're not going to be as concerned about that as they are with, where am I? What am I doing? Who are these people? You know what I mean? It's trying to get a grasp on what this movie was supposed to be. Now, it stuck to its tone. It's over-the-top B-movie horror tone, absolutely. But there are certain things about the character decisions, and I was just baffled by them, because if they would have acted another way, or maybe if the direction would have been a bit more solid at times in terms of our characters, then I would have bought it more. I just didn't buy the performances as much, and even Cage was really over the top. I tend to think it's because of the slow descent into madness, but something inside me tells me maybe it's just him wanting to be that. And maybe it was. But for some reason, all of these elements come together and they work. They're weird. It's a crazy package. It's not a movie for everyone. Some people will absolutely hate this movie, and I completely understand that. But for some reason, it harkens back to the horror films of old and the stories of old, and it's messy. The acting is not all there for me. There are so many elements that I have questions about. But I enjoy myself. I had a good time. I've actually talked myself up in my score. I was going somewhere, and you know what? The more I talk about it, the more I'm like, I can't say this is a great movie, but I can say it did its job. And thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoy these reviews, let me know in the comments down below. And be sure to smash that thumbs up button. And with my score, I think I'm going to 68%. I think I've talked myself up. I was more towards a 6. Now I'm more towards a 7. Maybe the more I watch it, the more I'm like, yeah, that's what they were trying to do. So this could be my film of 2020. I don't know yet. But Color Out of Space. What's going on, man? If you guys enjoy this as much as I did, or if you think it is the worst movie of the year so far, let me know in the comments down below. All opinions are welcome. You are truly the best. Thank you for watching. What a crazy, crazy time in the theater. And I'll see you later on today or tomorrow.